Hey guys, Bios Ramos, and today we are going to be going over the Miami Dolphins' first quarter of the 2020 season. Yes, it's not the best start that we've had ever, but things take time and things should surely develop into a better outcome than 1-3 is which where the Dolphins sit at right now. And last year we were sitting at 0-4, so it's minor improvement. Obviously, one win is not great, but it's better than zero wins. So take it with a grain of salt and just move on with that. But yeah, I mean the Dolphins started off the season against some pretty tough teams: the Patriots, Bills, Jaguars, and the Seahawks. Obviously, we got the win against the Jaguars, but I'm gonna go into each and every game and some things that stood out in them to me. So let's start off with the first game against the Patriots. First game of the season, no preseason, and just lots of just uncertainty of what is going on in this current NFL season. Obviously, Patriots do not have Tom Brady anymore. They now have Cam Newton, and we had never seen the Patriots offense with someone other than Tom Brady pretty much for the past almost 20 years. So it's hard. It's hard. And Dolphins ended up losing that game 11-21, and pretty much Cam Newton was the main catalyst to that Patriots offense that day. And 10-point game, which, I mean, the first time we played them last year, it was like 53-0 or something like that. So lots of improvement from the beginning of the last season compared to this beginning of this season. But obviously couldn't really do much with having, just no time to really prepare compared to in previous years. This is an unprecedented year. But nonetheless, some things that did stand out though was Miles Gaskin, and he's a common trend in each and every game. He is our leading rusher for mostly every game, if I'm not mistaken. He is our leading rusher in every single game except for the Seahawks game. So, besides that, we lost to the Patriots 10 points. We made it close in the fourth quarter there. I just want to go back there. We made it close in the fourth quarter, 11-14, but then we gave up a touchdown, which was unfortunate. But move on. Next game, we played the Bills, who absolutely slaughtered the Jets the week before, and this was the Dolphins' home opener. And Dolphins did not win this one either, but the final score was 31-28. 3-point game. Obviously, not the best game in the Dolphins' standards. Could have had some opportunities to put this game to rest. I don't think we led at all ever in the game. Yeah, we never led in the game. But we scored too late. Just couldn't capitalize on some stuff like the John Brown touchdown. The play before that, they pretty much ran the same play from what I'm understanding, and Xavier Howard almost picked it off. And if he picks that off, you're saving that touchdown and possibly giving the Dolphins a chance to take the lead there, because it was 24-20 at the time. You get the turnover, go down the field, hopefully score a touchdown, which we did in the last possession, but it wasn't enough, obviously. But yeah, Miles Gaskin leading the rushing again. Fitzpatrick had a better game than he did the week before. The first week he had three interceptions, my apologies, three interceptions. Following week he didn't have any interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 328 yards. So obviously when you don't turn over the ball, you have success, which is going to go into the Jaguars game, which Fitzpatrick didn't have an amazing game, but he had an amazing game in the sense only 2 incompletions, so 20 passes, 18 completions, not a lot of yardage, 160, but 2 touchdowns. He was a game manager that game. He just made sure the offense was facilitated for it and made sure things were done the right way that they intended them to do. And on top of that, the defense was playing out of their minds. The final score was 31-13. And it was such an amazing game to watch. It was so cool to see the Dolphins' first win of 2020. And definitely a highlight to my year, because obviously 2020 has been a pretty down year, if you ask me. But this is one of the bright spots of it, just seeing the Dolphins' first win for me, which was great. But yeah, Fitzpatrick had a pretty decent game. Not a crazy numbers. Obviously, the crazy stat line that he had was 18 for 20. But besides that, I mean, you can't complain with the outcome of this game. Dolphins completely blew out the Jaguars, and they could not really have an answer for them. Offensively, defensively, it did not matter. And then we get to week 4. Week 4, the Dolphins are playing the Seahawks, and they are without Jamal Adams, which is really the only key player out. Chris Carson was on a game time decision, ended up playing, and he ended up having a good game. He had 16 carries for 80 yards, 2 touchdowns, and obviously the main star of the show was Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, 24 for 34, 360 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Yes, 1 interception. So that puts his total to 2 interceptions on the year. And luckily, Xavier Howard was one of them. So that interception, coming out of the half, Dolphins were on defense. And Xavier Howard, and in the red zone, picks off Russell Wilson in the end zone. And it was pretty good. But what is something that killed the Dolphins? You can probably guess it by now from what I was trying to emphasize was Ryan Fitzpatrick's ball control. He had 2 interceptions, and whenever you turn over the ball, you're not going to win games. It's really hard to have 2 interceptions in a game and come out with a win. You have to have your team playing almost excellent besides the quarterback, if that's the case. But Miami was somewhat in this game. Almost heading into halftime, we were down 1 point, and we left too much time on the clock for possibly the MVP for this football season, Russell Wilson, because he's having an absolutely crazy year. But it is what it is. He went down the field with about how many seconds? 24 seconds left. They kicked the field goal with 3 seconds left remaining. So in 21 seconds, they went down the field. Pretty insane. And the second that field goal was kicked from the Dolphins, I'm like, that's way too much time. That's way too much time for the Seahawks to score. And I was right, because Russell Wilson is having that kind of year, and it's to be expected. You've been playing the year for quite a while. You know how to do things effectively, unlike some other players who are in their first, second, maybe even third year of the league. And supposedly that one of those drives, he didn't even have any comms to the coaching staff. So one of the drives was just all him, and they ended up scoring a touchdown on that drive. So it is what it is. But the final score of this game, I don't know if I mentioned it before, 31-23. But that last touchdown before the halftime definitely killed the Dolphins. Definitely was like the stunner. And nonetheless, we could not get in the end zone until the very end of the game. Last drive of the game, we got a touchdown. It was too little, too late. We were kicking field goals. We had 15 points worth of field goals, so that's like 5 field goals. If you turn 2 of those field goals into touchdowns, you're competing in this game. You're probably winning this game. So those are the differences in between winning and losing football games. So the fact that the Dolphins were competing pretty well was really good. I mean, we brought it to 9-10 one time, and then another time we brought it within 2 from 17 to 15. But then Seattle scored 2 straight touchdowns following that 17-15 score. And then final score is 31-23, so it wasn't very good. But Devontae Parker had a great game, 10 receptions, 110 yards. Ryan Fitzpatrick led the team in rushing, which was a trend of last year, and hopefully it's not a trend this year, because Myles Gaskin's been doing pretty good, and all of our running backs have been doing pretty good. Running back by committee type of thing, but mainly Myles Gaskin has been the main ball carrier for the Dolphins this season, which is great, because he's something that I've been looking forward to seeing him develop, and it's really good to see that process being elevated every single game. Obviously not against this great Seahawks team, but it is what it is. Now, all that being said, Dolphins are 1-3 heading into the 5th week of the season. So first quarter is done, first quarter of football. Unfortunately, it's not the record that a lot of us Dolphins fans hoped and wanted for, but it's a lot better than we were last year, 0-4, and now we are 1-3 compared to last year. And when you look at the standings for the AFC East, shocker, no shocker, I don't know. You decide. You let me know in the comments. Bills are 4-0. Patriots are 2-2. Miami's 1-3. And then the Jets are 0-4. So, that being said, the Bills are leading the division, followed by the Patriots. Obviously, Dolphins are third. And the Jets are in dead last and are presumably just dead for the season. I don't think they're going to even pass the Dolphins for third place. And who knows? But the Patriots look legit. The Bills look legit right now. The Dolphins still have a little bit of work to be done. I don't know if you guys have seen the Game Picks video. I think it was the first week that we did our divisional winners. And I picked the Dolphins. It was very biased, obviously, duh. But, you got to have hope into your team. But I have good reasoning to do so. A lot of good free agent acquisitions, lots of good draft picks, and we're seeing these players have an effect on games. So, obviously, last week, Noah Igbenogany had a horrible mistake that cost the Dolphins the lead at halftime and pretty much cost us the game. Now, is it, oh my God, let's hate on Noah Igbenogany? No, he's a rookie. He still needs to learn. And those are some of the things that we need to talk about. And when it comes to Tua possibly playing, do not rush Tua onto the field. The last thing you want is to rush him on the field, and then one, either he gets hurt, or two, he makes lots of errors and he weighs himself down. You want your players to be put in situations where they can flourish and have success. Some players, like Joe Burrow, not really any competition. Number one pick overall, you're going to be the starting quarterback of that team. Then it comes to Justin Herbert, who was selected after Tua Tagovailoa, literally the next pick. Guess what? He had to start in week 2, and it wasn't even expected. He wasn't even expected to play because Tyrod Taylor was doing pretty good as a quarterback for the Chargers, but he was thrown in there. He played against the Kansas City Chiefs, had a tied game. I think they even went into overtime, and then Kansas City obviously won it with a field goal. So they're thrusted into some spots, and they can flourish, obviously. The Chargers are not a bad team by any means. He is in a good spot for success there, Justin Herbert. And so is Tua, but you need to give it a little bit more time. You don't want to put him out there and have a catastrophic thing happen or just failure in general. But the league is, having its ups and downs. Obviously, downs with teams like Titans and other teams, obviously, but Titans is the biggest one so far, with having lots of corona problems. And luckily, Dolphins are not one of those teams. So that's something we could, look onto this year, is that our team is being responsible and not putting themselves in danger in the sense of, all right, let's make sure we have a season to play. Let's not make sure we're getting delayed games, postponed games, games canceled, stuff like that. So there's lots of ups and downs to look into this, but there is a sense of optimism and hope into the success of the fall of this season and years to come, especially with having a really good quarterback on the bench. You understand that? So Fitzpatrick is obviously going to be here for this year, but in years to come, we're going to have lots of rooting for Tua Tagovailoa, and can't wait to be doing that. But for right now, we got to ride with Ryan Fitzpatrick. He has the highest highs and the lowest lows, so it's not the best football to watch. But the Dolphins' offensive line is something to stand out because they've been performing pretty well, and they have two rookies on the line. Saul McKinley, the big fish, very fitting for him being on the Dolphins, and Austin Jackson as the left tackle. It's been very good with those two guys. We got Ted Karras as a center, Jesse Davis as the right tackle, and then I always forget who is our left guard. Eric Flowers. So, and that was a free agent signing, so it's Ted Karras. So, free agent signings doing good. Rookies doing good. Players that have returned, Devontae Parker, Mike Gesicki, all these other guys, Myles Gaskin, doing good. So, we're not having a horrible season so far, but it could be better, obviously. The next 4 games are going to be pretty tough. So, we're going to be starting off week 5 with the San Francisco 49ers, and Jimmy Garoppolo is expected to return. He was injured. He hurt his ankle against the Jets. And then following that, we're going to Denver to play the Denver Broncos. Then 2 home games, the Chargers and the Rams, both LA teams, are coming to Miami to play them there. But it should be interesting to see what happens. in these next 4 games. So the first half of the season could be completed. But besides that, I mean, I'm very hopeful that this team could get things kind of back on track and have some successful games. These are not easy wins by any means. Possibly the Broncos and the Chargers, but besides that, the Niners and the Rams are going to be very tough teams to beat. The NFC West in general are very tough to beat. So enough rambling. I'm gonna make my game preview video possibly tomorrow. I'm gonna actually today. By the time you're probably watching this today, I'm gonna probably try to release it on Saturday. But I wanted to get this out to you guys first before I did that because I wanted to do a little bit more deep diving into the 49ers game. But all that being said, Dolphins are 1-4 through first 4 games of the season, and probably watch some Miami Heat basketball. Hopefully they win tonight. If they don't win, it's gonna be upsetting. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a nice thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't done it yet, click the post notification buttons. And also follow me on Twitter and Instagram @ByAustinRamos. And lastly but not least, fins up, baby.